On today's Locked On Thunder podcast, we're going to tell you why it was so important for the Thunder to blow out the New Orleans Pelicans.
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, media member, and beat writer for Thunder on SI, Rylan Stiles. Follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Follow the show on Twitter at LOThunderPod and email the show, LOThunderPod@gmail.com. On today's show, we're diving into why this was so important for the Thunder to blow out the New Orleans Pelicans as the Pelicans kind of quit on Willie Green and this whole season already. JWill gets hot. Iheart has a double-double. SGA cruises and more on today's show, brought to you by Game Time. Go download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. You everydayers make this show work. Thank you so much for subscribing across all podcasting platforms, leaving a like, comment, review, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you're at. Thank you for listening. We are 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, after every single game, and with our 2 live streams, Monday and Thursdays at 2 p.m. Central Time here on YouTube with Derek Parker. On today's show, we're diving into this 7-0 start for Oklahoma City, this dominating win over the New Orleans Pelicans, where the Thunder did not have J-Dub. He's out for another 10 to 14 days until he is reevaluated. They did not have Chet Holmgren, who's out again with that lower back issue. No Kenrich, no Topic, obviously. JWill starts in place of Lou Dort, who was also out due to illness. They go with Cason and Wiggins in the starting roles for Chet and J-Dub like they have been before. So just 2 normal starters for the Thunder with Shai and Iheart. The Pelicans come in healthy. Their only absences are their 2-way contracts and DeJounte Murray, who you already knew was going to be missing this time. From opening tip-off, you were wondering, what's this game going to look like? What's the crowd going to look like? What's the energy in the building? And a random afternoon tip for no real reason, not even on national television. These were 2 of the worst teams from beyond the arc, both of them ranking in the bottom 10. It was an undefeated team versus a winless team, and the losing team kept losing. The winning team kept winning. This was a great game for the Thunder in terms of their pace, their best game of the season, of getting up and down the floor and thriving in transition and generating uneven numbers, even off of Pelican makes, however rare they may have came, and being able to get into their offense quickly. Them upping the pace makes them so difficult to guard. The Pelicans tried to throw a zone at them, and if you remember last year, zone defenses were a massive talking point of giving this team trouble. This zone defense gave the Thunder absolutely no trouble. Their playmaking, their relocation with their off-ball players and their on-ball movement, it just put the Pelicans in a pretzel, and they just could not do anything about it. This was a great brand of basketball for Oklahoma City, rewarding cutters, rewarding relocation shooters, getting to the rim at will, and I've never quite seen a team try this hard to get their coach fired. Just bad shot selection, no energy, nobody on the bench is engaged, not even cheering on their teammates, a lifeless Pelicans group. So why was this blowout win so important? It should have just been mundane, so to say. But the Thunder start 7-0 for the second time in franchise history, tying last year's 7-0 start for the best start in franchise history. And the blowout win aspect of this was why it's so big is because of all the ways that it could have gone the other direction. This should have been a desperate Pelicans team. They did not play with any desperation in their hearts except to get their coach fired in this game. But you're down 3 starters. You're down a couple rotational pieces beyond that. And it's a weird early tip, which, again, has given this Thunder team a little bit of trouble with this core. This young core has struggled at times in afternoon games. And it would have been easy to pile up the excuses. It would have been easy to let one get away, have a schedule loss on getaway day before heading to the West Coast. But instead, not only did they win, but they won comfortably, and they won in a fashion that lets you get some rest for guys. You look at Alex Caruso, who only plays 12 minutes. You look at SGA, who only plays 30 minutes. Those are big-time minutes to not have to play in a game like this, not have to waste your bullets in a game like this to try to pull out a win. Instead, you win comfortably, and you afford yourself the opportunity to rest those guys, considering the start this Thunder team has had. They went from having the best point differential in NBA last year to a couple double overtime games, a couple close ones with Dallas and Sacramento that were too close for comfort, And now they've had back-to-back games where they were able to break away from these teams and rest Shai in the fourth quarter and capitalize on playing bad basketball teams. The Pelicans, I think we have to invent a word for how bad they are. Like the Pelicans defense was non-existent. As we would say in London, the Pelicans are in a bad way. I mean, you trade your first-round pick for Derek Queen, and yet he doesn't play until there's 6 minutes left in a blowout in the fourth quarter. What's going on there? We already mentioned how they quit on Willie Green, but the big story tonight was that on top of the Pelicans doing everything to not show up tonight, the Thunder did show up in the face of that. They knocked down 20 threes, Oklahoma City did, on 41% shooting. That's, of course, their best all season long, to hit 20 triples in this game. 8 Thunder players were in double figures, the most in franchise history. They win 137-106 over New Orleans. They led by 36 points in this game, Oklahoma City did, and outside of the first 5 minutes of the first quarter, they finished it out wire to wire. In the first 5 minutes, there were some lead changes, about 5 of them and 2 ties, but ultimately, the Thunder just crushed New Orleans. The Thunder had 33 assists tonight, to go back to the style of play that they were able to generate today, which was really encouraging. The Thunder forced 16 turnovers. They somehow, while hitting 23s, also dominate in the paint. So they dominate you from both angles, plus 10 in the paint for OKC, and of course hit the 23s way more than New Orleans could generate. They dominate second chance points despite being out rebounded, and they were a +8 in the fast break off of those 16 Pelican turnovers. OKC shot 56, 41, 88 on the shooting splits. That is one of their best nights shooting the basketball all season long. 56% from the floor, 41% from three, and 88% at the charity stripe. New Orleans shot 43, 40, and 62 in this game. Dreadful showing from the old Pels. But this game is really summarized by the fact that it was a Sunday afternoon game. The guys got in here Sunday morning, and it was easy like Sunday morning for SGA, who could just do whatever he wanted to do. He could name his score tonight, and it felt that way from the opening tip. The Pelicans just had zero answers for him, and he was able to get the Pelicans in these uncomfortable positions, part of which were due to just Shai being magical, part of which were due to just the lethargicism that you've seen from New Orleans on the perimeter, not showing any resistance, and in the paint, just being out of position and forcing you to foul. It sent Shai to the line 13 times. It also sent AJ Mitchell to the line 8 times in this game. Like, they just were in a bad habit of being out of position and being forced to foul because they were not playing defense. And that's where you run into trouble with New Orleans. It's just, as Mark would call it, as he did pregame, which this is a word I hadn't really heard before. I'll be honest, hand up, I've never heard the paradoxical aspect of the defensive strategies for the Thunder being so tight in the paint. And the reason why they can dominate in the paint is because of what the guys do on the outside, on the perimeter, to give that resistance before you get to the paint. The Pelicans had none of that tonight, and SGA took advantage of it. And the reason I fully believe he could have named his score is because in that third quarter, the game was trending in a direction where you knew that Shai was not going to play in the fourth quarter. And he only had 20 points, but that 20-point mark did tie him with the big O. You know, whenever you're in the same conversation as Oscar Robertson, you're doing something right. He has the most active game streak, logging 20 points, the biggest streak consecutively logging 20 points, tied with Big O in this one. Hopefully that streak for him continues and he can become the biggest streak in NBA history of generating 20 points each game consecutively. But at that time, it was like, okay, well, this is going to be like a 22-point night from Shai. That doesn't really indicate how great he was. And then he throws up a flurry of buckets, including a step-back three, to get to 30 points through 3 quarters. He could just do whatever he wanted to. And he hit a couple reverse layups, which were a lot of fun. But he also was able to just have his way in the mid-range. I mean, Jeremiah Fears had a couple fouls on him that you just say, okay, Rook, it's the same thing with Trey Johnson. Like, these rookies who are tasked with defending Shai, they just don't know what to do with this combination of size, speed, athleticism. They've never seen this before, and it puts them in a bad way onto Shai. I don't think that you should trust very many rookies to be on SGA. But I think that whenever you look at Shai, he had a couple of shots blocked tonight that arguably could have been goaltending, so he could have had more points and even better efficiency than 57% from the floor, which is already fantastic. But one of the bigger aspects of this game for him was his playmaking. He went to his playmaking early and often. The first possession of the game, he spins through the lane, sets up JWill for an open three. That JWill misses, one of the few misses from JWill tonight. Then the next possession tosses a skip pass to Wiggins for three, which cashes in. He had 3 assists in the first 4 possessions. One of them was out of a double team, and we talked about this against Washington. These teams are more comfortable sending Shai doubles now and trying to disguise their coverages. It's kind of like a defensive coordinator disguising blitzes. They're just kind of waiting and then sitting these late double teams throughout these possessions, and Shai's gotten way better at handling that pressure. And whenever the Pelicans send a double team at the top of the key, he jumps up, tosses a pass into Iheart, rolling to the rim, and Iheart capitalizes. So I think that Shai was really good tonight, and I love the fact that he continued to try these pull-up threes. He had a DHO from JWill that set up a three, which Herb Jones had to foul on because he was out of position. That's 3 free throws for SGA right there of those 13, and he kept up the pull-up threes. The step back one actually fell, but overall, he only went 1 for 5 from beyond the arc. But you still want to get him more comfortable with that shot. And so he ends up with 30 points, 7 assists, 2 rebounds, a steal, a plus 24, 57% from the floor, 1 for 5 from 3, and 13 for 13 at the line in just 30 minutes. 2 straight games of no fourth quarter action. And whenever you factor in that there's 3 days off, if you count Friday, Saturday as off days heading into this one, and you count tomorrow, that's 3 days off on top of 2 straight games of not playing in the fourth quarter. Why is that so important? You're about to embark on a West Coast trip that certainly will not have J-Dub, who's already been announced as he won't be reevaluated until 10 to 14 days later. And we don't know about Chet. We don't know if Chet's going to play or not. So this is going to be a lot on Shai against much better teams, frankly, obviously, than Washington and the Pelicans. Even Portland is going to be a massive challenge. They're playing some good ball, that you know what they are defensively. The Clippers, that's a back-to-back. The Clippers first, Portland second. And then you go play the Kings again, and then the Grizzlies. But still, that back-to-back coming up, it's big to have the rest for that because you need him in both games if you want to continue this winning way. And Tuesday's a big one because you want to try to set a new franchise best start if you're the OKC Thunder. Coming up, let's talk JWill, who was red hot tonight. But first, I want to say right now, our good friends over at Robinhood, go check out Robinhood today because Robinhood is incredible. Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. You play for the win, not just on game day, but every day, locking in on every opportunity, beating your PR, beating it again, channeling that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all in one platform so you can build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends tools. Make sure you go there for their advanced tools or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, so start expecting more from your money. Get started today at robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. Also want to say right now, my good friends over at Game Time, go check out Game Time today because Game Time is fantastic and you're going to want to be in the action and be in the arena for these games. Basketball season officially underway. Nothing is like being in this arena, in the Paycom Center, where I'm sitting right now, in the bowels of the Paycom Center. The energy is still resonating through this place, even after the game. Let's be real. Getting tickets can be a total headache between waiting in queues, surprise fees, prices that jump right before checkout. It's easy to get frustrated whenever you want to just go cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in. This app gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for amazing NBA tickets, fast, easy, and stress-free. Go check them out today because their zone deals are a game changer. You pick the section, Game Time picks your seat, and you save big. You can even find NBA tickets for under $25. But my favorite part about Game Time is the fact that the price you see is the price you get. No hidden fees at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with NBA tickets at Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create your account today at the Game Time app. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at $20 off your first purchase. Terms and conditions apply. Again, code LOCKEDONNBA at Game Time for $20 off your first purchase. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day, here talking to you live from the Paycom Center as the Thunder just decimate the New Orleans Pelicans. Jalen Williams really got going from three and really got going offensively, but perhaps his best moments came defensively. And there's a lot to dive into with JWill. First of all, just what he did against Zion. Against Zion Williamson, JWill stole the ball, took 2 charges, and he blocked Zion. Like, all of that happened in one game for JWill on the defensive end of the floor. And I highlight that because JWill has been lamented at times because of his defense, but each year he's gotten incrementally better. And there's been a lot of talk about him losing these 6 pounds and if that's going to change how he can defend the bigger bodies in the NBA. Very few players have the size and the athleticism and the burst that Zion does, and the quick twitch ability and the force that he plays with and the strength that he has in Zion. And JWill stood up really well against Zion Williamson. He also did a great job of manufacturing rebounds and manufacturing possessions. Like, yes, he had a couple easy to see tap outs where he tapped the ball over to Iheart, tapped the ball out to his teammates. And while he's not going to collect the rebound for that, and he is a bit undersized to be impactful on the glass in a big way, he's still getting other guys the ball and thus getting stops for the Thunder. But one of his best plays was a long rebound that caromed out to the corner, and Yves Missi had to go track it down. And then JWill throws a double at Yves Missi, forces Yves Missi to throw the ball away into the backcourt. The Thunder run up under it and get a transition opportunity. That's all sparked by JWill being still in the play, still being engaged after the long rebound got tipped away to the deep corner. So it was a really impressive game from JWill. And I thought that he did a great job impacting the game on that end of the floor. And then offensively, on top of the three-point shots going in, the chemistry between JWill and Iheart has really continued to blossom. And these two guys fit really well together. And it's kind of interesting because they both have a redundancy skill of being such great passers as high post playmakers. But JWill can shoot the three. Iheart can do it in the high post below the arc typically for Iheart. He, of course, cannot shoot the three anywhere close to JWill's level. But these two actually get on the same page a lot, finding each other as scorers. Like you saw JWill tonight have a wraparound pass around his defender to Iheart for the N1. And that's really heated up for these two in the early portions of this season. And that's really encouraging because it makes your mind wonder. So you've heard me on this show talk a lot about the fact that I think that there's a pathway for the best statistical lineup for this Thunder team to include Chet at the 5 and to let Chet play the 5 because he's better offensively at it, and you still get the most defensive impact from Chet being your 5 at the rim, anchoring your defensive coverage, and you flank him by Kaysen and by Lou and by J-Dub and by Shai, and that unit could statistically take off on both ends, but in particular take off offensively and be a stellar version of this team. And so it makes you think, well, if JWill can continue these strides he's making defensively, where he's making an impact on Zion, making an impact on Yves Missi, he's made a good defensive impact overall this season, and his relationship with Iheart continues to blossom. Can you have your cake and eat it too, so to say? Can you have Chet Holmgren playing the 5 in certain matchups and in certain games, and then off the bench, here comes in a double big lineup. And here comes in the fact that now you're having to defend a solo big with Chet, a double big with Iheart and with JWill, and then you can still go small, all within one game, all within one opportunity. And so it really gives you such great optionality if these trends continue for JWill on the defensive end of the floor. And then offensively, this is why you saw me not panic about JWill's three-point shooting. And he was not one of the players that we put under the microscope because this is just what he's been doing in the NBA. And it is odd. It's an odd progression point for JWill because he did not shoot the ball well in college. But since he's been in the NBA, from the word go, he all of a sudden could shoot. And tonight he got back to it. 12 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 4 for 9 from 3. Did not take a single shot inside the arc. That's 44% tonight from JWill. He did miss his first corner 3 of the season. That was an underrated little funny small sample size stat, is that he was actually perfect from the corners heading into this game while still shooting like 14% heading into this game. So shout out to JWill. That was a great game from him. That was a great game from this team. But AJ Mitchell, like we mentioned, 8 free throws in this game. He checks in, immediately gets to the free throw line, but he did on that trip miss his first free throws of the season. He was shooting 100% entering tonight at the charity stripe. He went 0 for 2 on that trip, so finishes 6 for 8 at the free throw line in this game. But he also had a nice driving kick to Isaiah Joe for 3. The drive to the rim off ball, which was capped off by an Oos assist, where he just dove his way to the rim as a cutter from the top of the key. And Oos, who's like Nash dribbling the baseline, turns, looks, and here's AJ diving to the rim behind the defense from the top of the key. Oos finds him, easy 2 points for OKC. But the most intriguing play of the game, the entire game. What was the most interesting possession? It happened with AJ Mitchell, which sounds crazy because he only had 10 points and 5 rebounds and 8 assists and a steal. And this was a relatively non-interesting game for the most part. But there was one of the more interesting plays of the whole season, I'd say, is that at the end of the second quarter, AJ has the ball and SGA, last year's MVP, scoring champ, NBA Finals MVP, SGA is screening for AJ Mitchell. For AJ Mitchell to get downhill and get to the free throw line and get 2 easy points. And Mark has loved to do these guard-to-guard screens. And what's so interesting about this play and why I love this play, it's not for the Disney storyline of like, oh, this MVP sets a screen for AJ, but it's more so what it represents. Like, well, as much as Mark loves guard-to-guard screens, we hadn't really seen Shai be the screener a whole lot until Game 4 of the NBA Finals, when Shai has a legacy game and he gets every mismatch that he wants to by screening for J-Dub because J-Dub had the scoring going early. And if you're now more comfortable with Shai as a screener and you want to do this, it obviously made more sense to do it with J-Dub up until this point. But if you feel comfortable doing it with AJ, like Shai as a screener opens things up in a big way. And it just like it did on this play. And this is why this possession is so important, is because whenever Shai sets that screen, you now freeze 2 of the 5 defenders on the court who you don't want to miss a switch on Shai. You want to make sure you have him covered. So if you are not on your P's and Q's in communication, you're either letting up a straight line drive to the basket for either AJ or for J-Dub, as we mentioned, or you're letting Shai have the ball at the top of the key, wide open to take one dribble and hit the most comfortable shot for him on the court. So it has so many wrinkles off of it, and it can even disrupt your back-end defense because, again, you're panicking to get to Shai, that I do believe that this is something the Thunder should go to a lot more. But AJ tonight just did a great job getting to the rim, threw a lob to Iheart, and really took advantage of how poor the Pelicans played defensively in terms of their discipline. But coming up, let's talk about Isaiah Joe, who has changed the way this Thunder offense can run. But first, I want to say right now about Rigit, because they are awesome and you need to check them out. Let's be real. Making excuses does not solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress, I'm tired, or it happens to everyone sometimes. When it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. That's where Rigit comes in. Go to Rigit.com right now. It's fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. It makes it so you can get started. You can connect to a board-certified doctor 100% online. So there's no awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. It's prescribed. Your treatments are shipped directly straight to your door in a very discreet way. Make sure you check them out today because the process is fast, simple, and private. It's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter the most. Visit rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA to get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNBA so they know that we sent you. Rigit, stop making excuses and start making moves. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day, here talking about the Thunder's dominant win over the New Orleans Pelicans. Isaiah Joe is such a spark from 3. He even dribbled into a 3 tonight, which was impressive because before the game, I asked Mark, how much more comfortable have you seen Isaiah Joe get as a movement shooter? And Mark praised his ability to take those shots in stride now and take those shots confidently now. But in praising Isaiah Joe, he tied it all back to Isaiah Hartenstein, who deserves a lot of credit for this win. But Isaiah Hartenstein sets up so many unique opportunities for this offense. We'll get to that in a second. But Isaiah Joe, you saw him in this game just continue to reinvent the quality of threes that he's able to shoot and able to knock down. For example, one time he was in the deep corner and he sees that JWill is driving to the paint. So he climbs up from the corner, gets closer to the break of the three-point line, makes himself available for a JWill kick out. JWill finds him. He knocks it down. He also raced in for a putback off of a JWill missed 3 to get to those double figures. He also had a play where he rejects the screen, dribbles to the left, and hits a mid-range pull-up. And then the missed shot from Isaiah Joe might be the biggest depiction of what we're just talking about, is that Iheart saves the ball to Joe in the corner. Joe immediately gets off the ball, passing it to Cason, and then Joe runs from the deep corner all the way to the top of the key. And as soon as he reaches the top of the key, has the ball swung to him, he steps into a three. He launched it. He was wide open. He missed it. But you give Joe that shot more times, he's going to knock it down more times than not. And especially if he's comfortable shooting that without hesitation, as he did on that possession, it's really encouraging for what this team can look like. Because while this team is a very streaky three-point shooting team, as you've seen laid out for you over the past 2 seasons now, in the playoffs, I really believe that the biggest reason that you've seen a three-point production dip is not just, oh, they all got cold and this is a streaky team. It's that they're not generating the caliber of looks necessary in the postseason, because in the postseason, the standard drive and kick stuff often gets taken away. As you see, of course, every single night, defenses playing on a string, being engaged, flying out and swarming from the paint to shooters on the outside. And if you're able to keep them off balance with movement shots, that's where you find postseason three-point success. And if Isaiah Joe can do that comfortably, then Isaiah Joe can play more in the playoffs. 13 points, 5 rebounds, an assist, a steal, 3 for 10 from deep, which really should have been 3 for 9 from deep. He should have taken a shot clock violation at the end of the fourth quarter with this game in hand. It felt like a heat check from him, but 41% still from the floor. Picked his spots really well inside the arc. I really liked what I saw from Isaiah Joe. Wiggins, he's been such a nice weapon for this team. For as dreadful as they've been from three, they've been the worst team in the league from three. Let's be honest. Literally, it's just a fact from three-point land. He's hit catch and shoot threes in a big way. He scored the first 5 points tonight. He runs the floor off of a missed free throw to get right to the rim on a Shai head-to-head pass, which was another nice pass from SGA. Wiggins got to be the first player to double figures in this game. He got it done in the mid-range in the fourth quarter and had a nice driving kick to AJ Mitchell wide open for 3. AJ Mitchell missed it, but that could have been 2 assists for Wiggins. But he's continued to make more on the move passes, so to say. And what I'm trying to describe is, he's always been a good passer whenever it's just the next simple read. But oftentimes, whenever he gets downhill, the shot's going to go up. But he hasn't been as comfortable passing out of drives as he has been this season. And that's been very encouraging. He also had the coast-to-coast hammer on the dunk to empty the benches, and truly in this game, 15 points, 1 board, 1 assist, 1 block, 54% from the floor, 3 for 6 from 3, and a plus 19 tonight. And then Isaiah Hartenstein flirted with a triple-double. His impact in this game has to be recognized. 14 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists, a steal, a block. He also went 6 for 4 from the floor and only missed 1 free throw. Arguably, again, should have been a double-double. He set up some guys that missed some shots, and then there was also a couple fouls that were called on passes that led to points for OKC. I'm very curious what his potential assist numbers look like from this one. But he's really good at keeping this offense in a groove, man. I mean, the DHOs, the screens, like we said, Mark spoke glowingly pregame. When I asked him about Isaiah Joe, he kind of turned the conversation to Iheart for good reason, because Mark puts it plainly. Like, they've never had a screener or a roller under Mark that can do this. He said, period. And then he said it's not even close. And so if you know anything about Mark, that's very definitive. And Mark hardly talks in those kind of tones. He has before referenced guys like Al Horford and stuff. But to put it plainly like that, of just like, it's bar none, this is what Iheart does, you saw it tonight, and he stepped up in a big way. Cason Wallace, I hope that the All-State in good hands celebration continues. He did that after his 5 steals tonight. He's the league leader in steals per game. This will help his case even more. 13 points, an assist, 3 for 4 from 3, season best from him, 4 for 5 from the floor, defensive game wrecker, and he keeps the offense churning and putting points in the right direction. He also punctuates this game with a pick 6 dunk that led to the score being 120-90 and just truly demoralizing New Orleans. But ultimately, there's 2 more guys I want to end this with. Alex Caruso, number 1, because he was on pace to have himself a game. And a lot's happened between now and then where Alex Caruso was even in the contest, but you just could not afford to waste these live bullets on the Pelicans, man. You just really couldn't. And Caruso, I always go back to in the finals, him talking about the fact that his seldom minutes in the regular season helped him be who he was in the playoffs, which was one of your most important players to winning a championship, because they kind of saved him from himself, because his game naturally is more reckless. His game naturally lends itself to bumps and bruises because of how hard he plays. And tonight would have been one of those games of him just wreaking havoc on the opponent if he actually got to play more, because he had 8 points, 2 rebounds, a steal, a block, all in 12 minutes of play. 12 minutes going 2 for 3 from three. You just couldn't afford to keep him out there, especially with the road ahead. We have a back-to-back. We are still shorthanded. We're going to play tougher teams. This was a smart decision by OKC, but still deserves credit because the box score will not flash as much as the eye test should tell you that it should from watching this game. And then Brandon Carlson, got first quarter minutes. Team's in a tough spot. And while he didn't do anything just truly jaw-dropping and spectacular, he had a nice putback dunk. That was fun. He had 11 points, 5 rebounds, and assists, 1 for 4 from three. The biggest thing to me is that he competed defensively, and he was a connector offensively. He made the right decision with the ball in his hands. He took the right shots, and he ended up giving you some solid minutes in a game in which you needed some guys to, at the end, mop up some minutes, and at the beginning, soak up some minutes to get some rest for JWill and Iheart. This allowed, having a guy in a two-way that's going to be functional like Brandon Carlson allows you to be able to still run double bigs tonight and explore what JWill and Iheart can do. So we just spent the first 30 minutes of the show, glowing about what Iheart and JWill did together. We talked about that ad nauseum. It's all set up by the fact that you had a two-way guy who can play functional minutes in Brandon Carlson. And that's more than you can say about most two-way contract players. So credit to Brandon Carlson for that, and credit to the Thunder for going 7-0 to start this season, tying last year's high for the best start to the season. Coming up on this show, we're going to have Justin Martinez of the Oklahoman back on this show on Tuesday. Of course, Wednesday and Thursday, we'll recap the Clippers and Portland game respectively. And then Friday, we'll have another special guest for you on top of our Monday and Thursday, 2 p.m. Central live streams here on Locked On Thunder. It's your teams every single day, Monday through Friday, plus after every single game. So make sure that you subscribe anywhere you get your podcast from, including on YouTube, folks. What a start to this season. Let me know what you think down below. And until next time, be good and be good to one another.